Mm-mm.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
There's always going to be something during retrograde that's going to go wonky.
Haywire.
I sent them both the wrong live stream invite, so there you go. They went somewhere else.
We went back in time. We were on a Sunday link.
They're on a Sunday back in time link, so that's why we're late. So it's on me this time, or Mercury. Well,
yes,
blame it on him. Anyway, welcome. Happy Monday, and or shall I say, blessed Monday to you all. Here we are, and we get to hang out together and just dive in and learn some more tonight, and hopefully be encouraged in our own paths and empowered in our own paths. And so, yeah, invited. My whole spirit team is here today, just like you guys are. So, yeah.
And it's Victoria Day here in Canada, so it's a stat holiday. So happy holiday to everyone here who got to rest and take it easy and
that's nice.
Listen to fireworks all weekend and probably tonight.
Did you take the day off, Andrea?
I did. Speaking of the weekend, so up the East Coast, a crazy storm. It's here Saturday. No power, no internet, no phone service for over 10 hours.
10 hours.
And in some places, it was even worse. It was wild. Trees were down.
Was it nighttime or daytime? Or
daytime? It started like just before lunchtime, I think, around lunchtime on Saturday, and the sky got so black and it was so windy, and you knew something was coming. And then
wow,
easy.
Wow. Okay, so that's a good time to have a real book in hand.
Yeah, books and candles and pendulum, so at least I could talk to someone.
Oh wow.
Wow. Yeah, we had the big storm here, but we didn't.
Okay.
Well, it's raining right now, but we got about 15 inches of snow.
Oh.
Yeah.
We had a heat wave.
Trees down, branches down, and it was clean up today. So. Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's 80 degrees here, blue skies.
Well, that's good.
Yay.
For you.
You can. I should be able to say that all the time.
Oh, that's weird, though. That's weird from the end of May. That's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was a heat wave. It wasn't snow. It was like tornado weather. They even warned us there could be tornadoes. I mean, it was all rain and wind, high winds, knocking down trees. There was debris everywhere. I went to my parents later on, and signs were down, trees were down. It was crazy.
So a lot of times in that situation, they actually shut the power down before it hits. So to help with something.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
out of my wheelhouse, but I do know that they sometimes do that.
Oh, wow.
Anyways, yeah, well,
I'm glad you're okay.
Yes. I think all of our spirit teams predicted some crazy weather this year. So.
This year. Things we haven't seen. So we're not used to. Yeah.
Here you go.
Here we are.
All right. Well, let's get started. I'm super excited, like I always am, to meet these gals. And I feel like I forget who's who, but Antonia?
That's me.
All right.
Okay, so I picked Antonia Novello. I love her name. She was a few things, but one of her biggest claims to fame is that she was Surgeon General of the United States, and she was the first woman, the first female Surgeon General of the United States, and the first Hispanic to serve as a Surgeon General. Now, I took a little peruse through the pictures of previous Surgeon Generals, well, all of them. So before her, it was just a bunch of white men. So she is the first person of color as well.
Wow.
Hispanic and of color. There's been 19 surgeon generals, 16 men, 3 women. That sounds a little
Tells you something, yeah.
balance. Yeah.
There you go.
So she was born in 1944, so she's still alive. And I just thought she was just really interesting and just seems like a very kind person. So I want to check in with her. So she is a physician and a public health administrator. She was vice admiral in the Public Health Service Commission Corps, as well as the 14th Surgeon General, which I've mentioned already. She was also served as the Commissioner of Health for New York State from 1999 to 2006. So she was Surgeon General in 1990. That's when she became Surgeon General of the United States. And I just find that position is, I've always felt, I mean, I'm Canadian, what do I know? But I just felt like it's such an important position. I don't know. I love that title, the Surgeon General. It makes me feel like you're taking care of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a very important position.
It feels very important to me. That title feels very important. So cheers for her for getting it. So she was born in 1944 in Puerto Rico. She was the oldest of 3 children. She was raised primarily by her mother because her father passed away when she was 8. So this is a young girl who did not have it easy. She was also diagnosed at birth with congenital megacolon, a painful condition that required her to make trips to the hospital all the time. At 8 years old, they told her and her mother that she would need to have corrective surgery to fix her problem, but it would take 10 more years till she could get that surgery. So she was a young girl in a lot of pain, always at the doctor's. So obviously this was part of her catalyst to become a doctor, etc., because of the things she went through. So even though she was in all this pain, etc., she did manage to excel in all her studies. Her experience with her personal disease left such an impact that she vowed to become a doctor so that no other person is going to wait 18 years for surgery.
Wow.
So again, someone taking what they went through and turning it around for good, which is very inspiring. She was so smart. She actually graduated from high school at the age of 15. She's a smart lady. And she received her Doctor of Medicine degree in 1970. In that same year, she was to become the first woman to receive the University of Michigan Pediatrics Department Intern of the Year award. I love that she won Intern of the Year and the first woman to win Intern of the Year in that particular school.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah. So in 1976, she opened her own private practice where she worked as a pediatrician. Now, this I just find fascinating. She soon realized that she lacked the adequate emotional detachment. So she terminated her practice. She said, when a pediatrician cries as much as the parents do, you know it's time to get out. So this tells me, and I have goosebumps, that she's very much an empath, right? To feel the compassion. That's what I'm sensing. We can check in on that. But yeah. I mean, that's someone who's really a caring, loving person. If she is so attached to these children she was treating, she was crying as much or more than the parents. Her favorite aunt also died of kidney failure during her first year in medical school. She also resolved at that time to learn more about the disease and the factors that decide who receives a kidney transplant, because her aunt could not get a kidney transplant and died of the disease. So another thing that motivated her even further. She made a huge impact on American public health through her work at the National Institute of Health and especially as Surgeon General. Her most significant contributions were in setting guidelines for organ transplants. So she really focused on that, who can get it, when you can get it, that sort of thing. She also led the campaign against tobacco companies who targeted children. She raised public awareness about AIDS and the fact that it was spreading among women and children, not just men. So she was bringing all of these things forward. And she also focused on improving the general health care for women, children, Hispanics, and other minorities. So someone finally stepping into that role who really focused on perhaps things that weren't being focused on before, right? Children, women, people, minorities, etc. She also went into preventative medicine and became involved in public health policy and legislation. She used the power of her office to bring attention to health problems she felt were particularly urgent, especially those directly affecting young people, so underage drinking, smoking, and pediatric AIDS. She also called attention to the problems of people being able to access proper health care in the minority groups. So really raising that issue forward, thank goodness, right? Her concern for children continued to be important and motivate her work, but she acted on legislative rather than an individual level. Sorry, so she worked the politics of it versus being the doctor. So not one-on-one. She took her power up higher and was able to affect things on a much larger population than just in her practice one-on-one. So I think she did a tremendous climb to the top. I really respect this lady. Now, however, and I don't buy any of this really, in 2009, I think it was, there was an investigation into her being the New York State Inspector General. So one of her employees claimed that she was using her employees to do personal errands. I'm not having that. With my own little check-in I was trying to do. So they were trying to say she would get people to drive her or do shopping for her during her 7 years as the New York State Inspector General. But I'm going to say, what man in an office doesn't use his secretary or other people to do things? Right? Can you go to the store and get me my lunch? Or can you pick up my dry cleaning? Because she was so busy. I think that's probably what happened.
Right.
This was just like, oh, could you do me a favor? I'm running busy today, right? So they filed all these charges against her, these felonies, which she pled not guilty. Eventually, she was told to work down a guilty plea of one light, like a false instrument involving a worker's duties. So like, I guess, reporting something false. They gave her one thing to plead to and for a lighter sentence. So she did do that. And her lawyer said he called the crime administrative processing offense, nothing else. Like it was a nothing.
Right.
But I feel she was set up. I don't know. I don't like how that one feels. So she moved up past that, thank goodness, and she was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame in 1994. And in December of 2014, she retired as Executive Director of Public Health Policy in Florida, in the hospital in Orlando. She currently lives now in Washington, D.C., and her husband is a psychiatrist. So that's what's going on with Miss Lovely Antonia. Yes.
She is a beautiful woman. And I just, did she ever get her surgery?
She got it when she was 18.
So they literally did wait that.
They waited. It was they didn't know what exactly was wrong. And I guess by the age of 8, they figured it out and told her she'd have to get surgery. But it took 10 more years because of many reasons, I'm quite sure. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's why she got involved with transplant medicine and legislation, because who gets an organ? Who doesn't get an organ? What's the hierarchy? What's the criteria? Her aunt died because her aunt couldn't get a kidney transplant.
Right.
So I feel like she's dedicated her whole life to to fight these injustices. And I'm so excited that she was a Surgeon General, because really bringing forward those issues.
The first thing that came in, I kept waiting for you to say something about the military, because the first thing I got was this huge American flag, and it felt so military-ish. And then I heard running a tight ship. So I think that she ran a tight ship. I think she was, and I think maybe that was part of the anger at her staff under her, that maybe she could be a little short. But she, like you said, she's incredibly busy. And no, if it was a man, they wouldn't complain. It was kind of, it does feel like that. So
That's how it feels, right?
yeah, so she ran a very tight ship, but she's, but there's something that feels military, and I don't know if it's just her love of country is what I'm picking up on, that she has a love for the country that she always brought through with her work, and it was a very proud assignment to be the Surgeon General.
Well, she was also Vice Admiral in the Public Health Service Commission Corps. So maybe is that
maybe that's what it is, because I just. And I also think it might be telling us something too about her personality, maybe. You know, I know that you said, you know, she's an empath, and I think that's true. But I also feel like she had this side of her that was very organized and very disciplined and very, you know, I think she was those I think qualities are what made her so her rise so meteoric. She was so disciplined in what she did, and so I think that's what I'm picking up on, because but that's how I think of the military: very disciplined, very
precise,
and
organized,
seeing things through, and and goal oriented, and those kinds of traits. But I feel like she's also comparing herself to like a soldier, kind of like just really. Hard work did not scare her at all. You know, she was very much a person who liked to work and dig in, and was tough. Was tough.
And I feel those first 18 years of her life made her as tough, right?
I think you're probably right. Yeah.
She was in pain all the time, all those hospital visits. You'd have to have some kind of mental stamina as well for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's using the words like held to a higher standard.
Yes.
And as a woman, as well, but a woman of color as well. You know, all these things, all these strikes that would have been against you. She knew what was required, and she went above that, and always. That's how she did her life. And so those who worked for her, she expected the same. She wanted those around her to succeed as well. And she also felt that those around her were a reflection of her. So if she was, she was the boss, then they reflected who she was. So she did expect a lot. And she still does expect a lot for people around her. She likes things in order, because she was so out of control of what was happening to herself for all those 18 years. So it helps to be, you have power over that, right? Putting things in order.
I was shuffling the cards, and I could hear the word pain, and pain came out. And I was thinking as I was shuffling how she turned her pain around, and it literally came upside down.
Right.
So it's just, I think, a reminder to all of us that you can look at life two different ways. This is a girl who could have grown up and by 18 was so angry and hateful to the world, decided to just, I don't know, do anything but be a doctor, right? But she didn't. She was motivated by her, let's say, shortcomings, or feeling unlucky, whatever that you want to call it, that we can feel about things in our life. But she just turned it right around. And that's how you can look at your life. That's what I'm getting from her. She didn't wallow in it. She didn't want anyone to pay for it or get angry about it. She wanted to solve it for others.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's just a reminder that whenever something gets you down, or if you're looking back at your life, how can you turn it around and get inspired by what you had to go through?
Right. Right.
Instead of pulled down by it. I don't know. I feel very excited in her energy. Sorry. I just want to get up and do something.
No,
And how old is she now?
She was born in 44.
Oh, 44. So she's still young.
70.
Because I do feel she's still involved in things, like possibly on the boards of things. I don't. This is the first time I met her, and wow, what an incredible woman. And this is what I love about Mondays, is we get to meet these new people. But yeah, what an incredible woman. I do feel like she's still involved somehow in things. So I don't know if she's on the board of anything, or she consults or something like that.
They'd ask.
But she's not one that would just be sitting around on a rocking chair. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's still things to be done.
And I went into the asking about the scandal that Rock Washington, or she, misdemeanor, whatever. There comes in a strong feeling of teamwork. So I think that, along with what you said, Debbie, that she definitely, what she said before, she ran a tight ship. She was very expected a lot of the people around her, but she also felt like we're a team. We do whatever whatever's asked of us, because it's like I did grunt work too. It wasn't like I never went and got the food. It's like I did that too, and it feels like we're a team. And so that's the way she would see it. It's like we're all working together for a common goal. So it
exactly, like I've gotten lunch from everyone, from the boss to the intern, if they were needing it, and I could go get them. Like, it's not a big deal.
No.
It wasn't like I'm not the lunch lady or whatever.
Right.
But however this went down, it was purpose to strike her down.
Yeah, and diminish her accomplishments, diminish her in some way.
Exactly. Thank you, because that's what I felt when I read it. It didn't feel right. It felt like they were trying to tear her down. Yep, that's exactly. Or like ruin her reputation or whatever it was, because you didn't want a woman to succeed or do well, right? Just and that's what she's talking about. You're held to a higher standard. You can go into anybody's else's office there in Washington, D.C., and they have their interns running around like, go get me a coffee, like doing all that thing, doing that. Yes. But she was held to that higher standard because of being a woman of color, and being in that position that other people covet. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
she was also like, I should have known. Kind of, I feel like there's this like I should have watched myself a little more, about little things like that, because of course they're out to find any little thing they can. So it's almost like they got me, kind of like I should have like, it's outrageous. Been more careful, because they're just they're out to get you. So they could have got all of the. I think she was the 14th Surgeon General, or I forget what number she was, sorry, but I think it's 14. They could have got all the rest of those 13 guys, and they would have been way worse of what they worse. I mean, way worse. Yeah. Exactly. So and depending on too who was her intern, because a lot of interns have relatives in the government, and so it could just be somebody's nephew, or in fact I'm getting that feeling like it is like somebody's grandson or somebody's nephew or somebody's that kind of got pushed out of shape. And so it could even be something like that, where it was just the wrong person at the wrong time and the wrong circumstance, whatever, because it's so stupid. And they wouldn't have done it if she was a man. So no. And just a reminder that
look a little closer when you hear things, right? Maybe it's not exactly what's being told, and just a reminder what we have to go through. and we can all be part of that positive change, that we don't judge and we look into things further. And I think she's wonderful.
Yeah, she seems, I mean, and even her energy is very
bright,
kind energy. I would say a very kind human being, and a good with a good heart, and
oh, that's right, yeah,
super smart.
And what she was trying to do, are you really telling me she's going to abuse her position?
Right.
It doesn't feel, that's why I didn't feel right either. It's not who she is. It's not who she is.
Not at all. Not at all.
So just always keep your head up high. She did say, I didn't do those things. So
there you go.
Stand up for yourself. Yes, someday, Holly, we will see equality. Yes.
Yeah.
But I just thought she was a nice, wonderful lady, and a great story. This woman who clearly went through a horrible first 18 years, turned it all around, and anyone you can do it to.
Yeah.
Well, Antonio, I am sending you love right now, and a thank you for paving the way for others. And she's such a champion on you succeeding, especially as a woman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay, so Kim, you are next.
Okay. Well, my pick, I hope everybody knows because she's wonderful. I've always been curious about her, though. I've always been curious about her. So I picked Bette Midler.
So another live person.
Another live person. Yes, we picked a couple of live ones. But she is one of those people who she's kind of a force to be reckoned with. She came in with a definite purpose and I'm getting started right away. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I'm not going to be stopped. She has that kind of fire energy, whatever that is. We've seen it in other people. Greta Thunberg, I would say, has that same kind of fire energy. She just knows exactly who she is and what she's about coming in. But so she was born on December 1st, 1945. She is, there she is. She has 3 siblings. Her dad was a house painter. Her mother was a homemaker. She was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. Oh. And in their town, they were the only Jewish family. And she grew up very poor. They had very little. And I think she is a person who appreciates what she has. But she grew up poor, and she attended. Now, this is how, I don't know what it is, taking your agency in your hand and just running with it. But she spent 1 year in college, right? She graduated high school, spent 1 year in college. She landed a role as an extra in a movie called Hawaii, in Hawaii. And because of that movie, she got to LA, stayed in LA, and worked odd jobs to get to New York. And she went to New York, and she tried out for a Broadway show, Fiddler on the Roof, and she got into the chorus. First time going into it, on Broadway. And quickly rose to one of the leading roles, one of the daughters in that show. And it was right after that she always had a love of singing and a love of all different kind of genres of music. She loved, 40s and swing and disco, and she loved it all. And so one of her acting coaches in 1971 said, why don't you get together like a one-woman show, like a cabaret show, and do it with all these different styles of music that you love, and go and do like a tour of kind of the gay bathhouses in New York. and just see what happens, because they're always looking for, outrageous shows and different kinds of things. So just do it. So Barry Manilow was her pianist and her music arranger. So he was, fresh. Nobody had ever heard of him. And then she did this huge hit called The Divine Miss M, and kind of created this persona, a very body kind of flirty, really out there kind of character. And it just took off. They absolutely loved her. And, from there, she went into movies, and that's really where she loved to be, was kind of in the movies and producing movies. And so you saw her in tons of things in the 70s and 80s. And, her first movie was The Rose, where she played like a Janis Joplin kind of character. And it is, even when I think I was about 10 or 11 when it came out, and I knew I was watching greatness up on the screen. She's so good in that movie. If you've never seen it, I know it's old, but if you've never seen it, you should see it, because she is fantastic in it. And from there, she has been in, I went through the summer of Beaches with Cassie. She put Beaches on every day and watched it and sang along with the songs when she was about 10. But she's been in tons of over 20 movies, released 27 albums. She has almost EGOTed, meaning she has won Grammys. She won a Tony for Hello, Dolly on Broadway, which she was probably fantastic in that. And then she also won a Grammy, an Emmy, and a Tony. And she has yet to win an Oscar. So she hasn't won an Oscar. And I have the feeling that she may do something that may be in her future, as that she may EGOT, by the time she retires. But she's been a spokesperson and an advocate for AIDS research. She has a daughter. She got married in 1984, married to the same person. But the other thing about her too is that she is not a conventional beauty. She has unconventional looks for women in Hollywood, women in the music industry, and yet she broke through. Early. It wasn't even this long process for her. She just, like I said, just ran with it. And she's such a good example of using your free will, using your agency you have, and just going for it. Go for it. And I think she looks so good, because she looks great. She's 70. I can't remember how old she is, 74 or something. But she I think she looks so good because she just kind of glows. And I think it's because of doing what she has loved for so many years. If you don't, she's 76. She's 76. If you can't do what you love for a living, a lot of people don't get to do that. It's something, maybe it's a hobby or something that you just like to, you like to be outdoors or whatever. Whatever that thing is, fit it into your life somewhere. Because if you love it and it brings you joy, you're here to do that. Yeah. So whether you do it on the side or you do it for, your living, or you fit it in somewhere because you're here to do that. I'm just letting you know. And clearly she understood that, because she has really done what she's loved her whole life. So there you go.
I just absolutely love that she embraced. That's something that women, I think, we have a harder time with, embracing how we look. There's always something that we're always like, oh, I don't like that about, like that. She embraced her beauty and made it work for her. You know what I mean? Nothing stopped her. Like you said, the conventional beauty, and I like how you put that. She definitely didn't fit what Hollywood was putting out.
Right.
But she's like, here, this is me. And the reason we all fell in love with her was because she was in love with herself. She embraced all of her beauty,
Authentic in
and her
herself.
authenticity, and
Yeah.
used it. You know what I mean? So I do appreciate that empowerment that she's passed on.
And she does glow. As soon as you said that, I'm like, yeah, she's got a white or golden kind of fuzzy light in front of her face that I see.
Yeah.
And a sparkle in her eye. And I think she is hilarious. For one thing, she's very funny.
She's
Very talented, acting and singing. Like she's the whole thing.
and that smile too. Her smile says it all. She's that beaming smile that if when you see it, you have to smile too. It's that kind of smile.
Yes.
A joy of living is that you can see in her. I do, like I said, I think she may do a part where she gets very close, or she does win an Oscar. I think that is like in her future to come. And I also feel like early on that her mom, she had a lot of confidence as a kid, and they never knocked that back. They always let her kind of shine in her own way and appreciated her, and let her kind of be who she was. They didn't ever try to diminish her light or say, oh, you're just dreaming. Who do you think you are? That kind of stuff, which can happen. A lot of families, they have, kid has stars in their eyes, and their parents say, no, you got to get a real job. You have to go to college. You got to, and they didn't do that to her. At least that's what I feel. I feel like they let her be who she was, and they didn't diminish her light in any way.
I think that is a fantastic way to say it, and not making her insecure about her looks. How many of us would be a little bit different or a lot different if our parents instilled that confidence? I didn't get it from my parents, but that would have been amazing. So I'm really glad. I feel like you're exactly right that her parents just championed her the whole way.
Yeah.
And that made her feel good about herself. So, and she is beautiful.
She is beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful. Of course she is. Yeah, of course she is.
And it drives me nuts that there's this industry standard.
Yeah.
And there still is today. It's diminished a bit, but it's still there. But it's crazy. Who's anyone to tell anyone else what is beautiful?
Right? Exactly. She's just she's outside that Hollywood standard, whatever that is, and whoever sets that, I don't know, but she is unconventional. And I think that, but she does have whatever it is, or charisma, she has that. And that to me is far more, it's far more valuable than looks are fleeting. Looks are fleeting. They come and they go.
And can be manufactured.
They can be manufactured. Exactly.
If you don't have that inside, that quality.
But she will have that charismatic charm, whatever that is, forever and forever.
And her looks made her stand out in a pile of cookie cutters, right?
Yes.
So if they made all these starlets look the same, roughly, right? And then here she comes, this giant personality and these unconventional
frizzy hair and
boom.
Exactly.
And you can't deny talent either. That is one thing you cannot deny. Her voice.
She's a great singer. I think underrated, I think, as a singer, because I don't think people think of her as a singer. And I was listening to one of my favorite moments in TV history when she was the last guest on the last Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and she sang One for the Road to him. It is beautiful, and he's crying and she cries, and it is beautiful, and her voice is so I listened to it again today because I just thought, I've got to see it again, and her voice is so, I think she's underrated as a singer, even though she has gotten Grammys. So I don't think a lot of people think of her as a singer first, and I think she is a great singer.
Yeah.
And she's saying when you get knocked down, get back up. Like, get back up. And people will knock you down, but you get back up because you're your beautiful, unique self. You like I just see her kind of being a part of this. I know that the spiritual realm is so bizarre, but anyways, if she was here on this panel, she'd be telling the family here, get back up. Don't allow the world to take and break you down. They will try every day, but you get back up. She showed me a little bit of her childhood, like at school, where like the other kids were brutal and literally getting kicked down, and she's like, I got back up. I didn't allow them to tell me who I was. And so but the difficulties are there, and she understands that. She lived it.
I got a bullying thing too, Debbie. I got that vibe as well. I got it more like I felt a little bit more in high school, and I felt it was the boys. I felt like girls really liked her. I feel like she had a great personality, and so, but I feel like she did get some cruelty from some of the boys in high school, and it could have knocked her back or made her think but it didn't. It didn't think. I mean, and I'm thankful it didn't, because I love what she's done with her.
I mean, her singing The Rose, if you don't cry during that, or Wind Beneath My Wings, I mean, please.
Right, exactly.
And I bet she got a lot of, as a lot of women have, rejection from, movie directors or studio heads or whatever. As we know the story goes, they would have just said, like, there's no way we're putting you on film. I'm sure they must have said that at some point to her. Mm-hmm. We know how that goes, but I flipped a card for her and I got abundance. Mm-hmm. I think that's how I get a sense that she wakes up and she feels blessed. She counts her blessings, and probably always had, good parents. I have a daughter, marriage. I have a career. I have my voice. No one can take it from me, right? I have my personality. Like, she's just full of wonderful things, and we're not even talking about her bank account, right? So,
right, exactly.
I feel like she was counting her blessings from an early age. She knew she had it. I think she knew she had it.
Yay! Yeah, and if you all don't follow her on Twitter, follow her.
Yeah, she's great on Twitter. She has great one-liners, and
it is hilarious. I'm.
She's someone I would love to have lunch with.
Yeah. Oh yes, absolutely. And oh gosh, you guys said something, and I was thinking. I don't know, but yeah, she's amazing. Oh, I know what it is. I also got the feeling that she champions other women. She I feel like she probably has helped a lot of people get started. And also I feel like she, it's like she couldn't wait to work with so-and-so rather being intimidated, like work with Cher rather than being intimidated or being petty or it's like she, she could appreciate, she appreciates talent and would never want to outshine. She wants everybody to shine. She's one of those people, very equality in the workspace and in the ego space. With you working with a lot of different egos, and I feel like she never was one to get caught up in that. I feel like she really did champion and does champion other women and other actors, other singers, she's not intimidated at all and is able to celebrate other people. Sometimes when you get to that level, you celebrate yourself. You just think you're the,
but I don't feel
you see that all the time. And I don't get that feeling with her. I feel like she really wants to see other people do well.
Yeah, she understands her power. She understands where her, where she's at in her station in life right now, and using it for good.
Yeah. And Debbie Kate, yeah, generous on so many levels. It's generosity. That's exactly it. Exactly.
So that's a great inspiration for all of us to remember to be kind and generous to those around you and to champion all of the other people around you. And again, she's very funny, make people laugh, make people, she has a great way of making you forget about things. Like when you see her perform, whether it's acting, singing, her stand-up, whatever, it kind of just frees you up. Like when you watch her, because she's so huge and exciting and talented, and you can just forget about everything for a while. So that's a tremendous gift to give everyone. Because when you listen to her sing, you don't think about anything else. You're just like, wow, listen to this voice.
Right. Exactly. Well, when I was watching that performance today, I'm like, I can't believe that. I've seen this so many times, and every time I'm just riveted.
Yeah.
With every note. And same thing if you see the rose, you cannot take your eyes off of her at any point during the movie. But she's just phenomenal. So maybe she go on and do many, many, many more wonderful things. Such a great it's so nice to share the earth with people like her. It's like, I'm so glad I'm living in the time she's living in. It's just such a.
And I love there are so many people in the family who actually saw her in that original show with Miss M is what it's called.
The Divine Miss M. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Lucky.
And don't let anyone ever tell you how you look. You know who you are and what you have and how you look.
Or what you can't do because of the way you look.
Exactly.
Right.
And what makes you different, makes you unique, and makes you stand out. If we all look the same, no one would get noticed, right?
Right.
So it's okay to be different. Own it. Look at her. She owned it all, and she's fantastic, and she deserves all the money and awards she has. Ruthless People. Yes, hilarious. And
yes. I was thinking about that movie today.
Club. And what was the one with Nick Nolte, Down and Out in Beverly Hills?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh. That was... And now all these movies I want to rewatch.
I know.
Yeah. Focus.
She's great.
Yeah. Well, I'm sending Bette some extra love and big hugs today. And thank you for just another beautiful human being who has come through and pressed through and paved the way for many.
Yeah, so many.
Big thank you, Bette Midler.
Thank you.
So let's see. And so I guess I'm next. And while I'm getting a deep person for tomorrow's class.
Oh.
Pamela asked a question about it.
Okay.
Everybody's like, what is she talking about? All right. So my person is, her name is Edith Cavell. Now, she is not alive any longer, but let's, for class. Yes, for class. So I think it's a little interesting on the two that you brought in, and then mine is so different. So let's see what comes in that maybe ties them together because
And Carolyn, no, but Bette Midler did not die. We just did her. we do live people as well. So we just did
not often, but we do.
Yeah. And it's not often that we do that, but we did two live ones today and one that has passed. So.
Okay, so let me bring this over. All right, so let me bring her little pictures up. Uh-oh. And I did that. Okay, sorry guys, let's get this going. Hold on. Sorry. I'm in charge of all the tech today, so
You're doing great.
all right.
Yeah, great.
Oh, here. Okay, she's there. All right. And so here we go. This is Edith Cavell, and as you can see, she was a nurse, but let's learn about her a little more. Edith Louisa Cavell was born December 4th, 1865. and she passed on October 12th, 1915. Edith was a nurse and a humanitarian and a spy.
Oh.
Uh-huh. During the First World War, she helped Allied servicemen escape German-occupied Belgium. She was eventually captured and executed for treason. Her death by firing squad made her internationally known, and she became an iconic symbol of the Allied cause.
Wow.
Yeah. In particular, she is remembered for her courage in facing execution with equanimity. This included her famous last words: patriotism is not enough. Edith was born near Norwich, and I'm assuming that is that Germany? Norwich. Anyway, her father was a priest in the Anglican Church. The religious faith that she was brought up with was to provide an important influence on her life. In 1900, she trained to be a nurse at the London Hospital. In 1907, she was recruited to be the matron of a new nursing school in Brussels. This was a period of growth in the prestige and the importance of nursing, a period which with Florence Nightingale during the Crimean War. In 1910, Miss Cavell began one of the first nursing journals, La Infirmière. Did I say that right? Oh, yay. This documented good nursing practices and basic standards. She became a teacher of nurses in different hospitals, and I think you can see a picture of her with the nurses that she taught there. She became a teacher of throughout Belgium and sought to improve standards of nursing. So in the Nursing Mirror, which it was the publication, Edith writes, the probationers wear blue dresses with white aprons and white collars, the contrast which they present to the nuns in their heavy, stiff robes, and to the lay nurses in their grimy apparel, in the contrast of the unhygienic past with the enlightened present. So she's just trying to show the changes and the expectations of being clean and hygiene practices here. So she's just pointing all these things out. So in the First World War in 1914, the First World War broke out. At the time, Miss Cavell was in England, but she moved back to Belgium to her hospital, which was later taken over by the Red Cross. As part of the German plan, the Germans invaded Belgium, and in late 1914, Brussels was under the very strict German military occupation. Many British soldiers had been left behind in the withdrawal of the Allied forces and were stuck in Brussels. Miss Cavell decided to aid the British servicemen, hiding them in the hospital and safe houses around Belgium. From these safe houses, some 200 British servicemen were able to escape to neutral Holland. And at the same time, she continued to act as nurse and treated wounded soldiers from both the German and the Allied side. The occupying German army threatened strict punishments for anyone who was found to be aiding and abetting the enemy. Yet despite the military rule, Miss Cavell continued to help. Nothing but physical impossibility, lack of space and money would make me close my doors to the Allied refugees. Edith Cavell. In mid-1915, Nurse Edith Cavell came under suspicion for helping Allied servicemen to escape. This was not helped by her outspoken views on her perceived injustice of the occupation. In August of 1915, she was arrested and held in St. Giles prison. After her arrest, she did not try to defend herself, but only said in her defense that she felt compelled to help the people in need. After a short trial, the German military tribunal found her guilty of treason and sentenced her to execution. This surprised many observers, as it seemed harsh given her honesty and the fact that she had saved many lives, both Allied and German. Brand Whitlock, the U.S. minister to Belgium, and the Spanish minister, the Marquis de Villalobar, made representations to the German High Command asking her sentence of death to be commuted. In particular, the U.S. minister warned the Germans that this execution of a nurse would damage Germany's already bad reputation and would be seen as an injustice in the eyes of the world. However, the protestations from the Spanish and American embassies were in vain. The German officer in charge, Count Harrach, dismissed the plea, saying he would rather see Miss Cavell shot than have harm come to one of the humblest German soldiers, and his only regret was that they had not 3 or 4 English old women to shoot.
What a jerk.
For 2 weeks prior to her execution, Miss Cavell was kept in solitary confinement, except for a few brief visits. On the night before her execution, she was visited by the Reverend Sterling Gahan, an Anglican chaplain. He recorded her final conversation. He records that Miss Cavell said, "Patriotism is not enough. I must have no hatred or bitterness to anyone." She also was recorded saying, "I have not seen death so often that it is not strange or I have seen death so often that it is not strange or fearful to me." I have told you that devotion will give you real happiness, and the thought that you have done before God and yourselves your whole duty with a good heart will be your greatest support in the hard moments of life and in the face of death. So I'm not going to go ahead and read the rest because it just talks about the execution. But I can tell you that it roared across the world, and people were absolutely in horror that this had been done. After the war, her was exhumed and returned to Westminster Abbey for a state burial. And then her body was later buried in Norwich Cathedral. So, and that's kind of why I put, you can see here, one of her burial sites. I think it showed 3 different burial sites. I think this is the most recent one here. But I feel like this is one of the first ones. So this picture was the last, I think one of the last pictures, and this is a close-up of it right here. Oh, you can't see I'm like doing my little clicker on there. You can't even see it. So the one with her and the dog, you can see that the dog there, that dog was rescued after her execution. So that was one of the last photos of her taken, the one with the dog there in the middle. And I forget I think his name might have been Max, but he was rescued after her execution. So yeah. Brave Edith.
I'm speechless.
Yeah.
So she was charged with helping the opposing war people. I don't know the right lingo.
The British. Yeah.
She helped them escape so that they wouldn't be prisoners of war, I'm assuming, that kind of thing.
Right.
So this
So yeah, they I guess they had already left they had left the area because Germany overtook the area. So those soldiers had to back out, the ones, and many were left behind or because of being injured or in the hospital and like that. And so yeah, so she helped nurse both sides,
yeah.
German and and then was part of 200 being able to escape and get back to their families.
Yeah, she's saying part of it was their age. She couldn't, that they were they were young, and it was worth. She knew the risk. She knew the risk and did it anyway. But she really did see. That bumper sticker was like, we're all one race. We're the human race. She really did see it that way. Mm-hmm. She really did. It was because when it's kind of like when you're in distress as a human being in a medical way, you're just a human being, and she's there to save that human being. So it's the great equalizer for her. It was an equalizer, and so that's how she saw people, just as a patient or as someone that
your oath as a healthcare worker, right? She would have not. I don't even know if they had the oath back then, but she would have had that feeling in her body and her mind that you help save who you can. Doesn't matter who they are.
Right.
And the horrors of war.
Yes.
It's like, I feel like I got the tap on the shoulder from her because of the war right now, and the horrors of war, and what is the reason for why do we have to do war? Like, she doesn't. I feel like at the time, her enlightenment was as such that the necessity of war she didn't understand. Like, of course she understands what war is, but I'm not trying to say that. How we think, why war? Like, talk about it, like figure things out. What is this war thing where you come in and take over another people? That's kind of her, like, we are one, like you said, like, so that's, I feel like because of the war going on is why she tapped. And she's like, war is such an unnecessary horror, is kind of the feel I get from her. And the boys that die.
Yeah.
And well, now boys and girls, but
I can't believe they executed a female nurse. And how old was she when she? Was she older or younger?
She was not old, but she wasn't. She was 49. Thank you, Shay Kitty. She did the math for me.
49. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, my goodness, how could you do that?
Yeah.
And she's saying they did it to send a message, but it ended up sending a message, but not the one they wanted.
My goodness.
She would do it again. She's saying, I would do it again. I would do it, even knowing what happened. I would do it again. I didn't. It's almost like I didn't have a moral choice. I couldn't live with myself if I just,
Yeah.
I would, it wasn't. Yeah.
Got determination for her.
Yeah.
Yellow is your solar plexus, what you do, chakra. Completely determined, overcoming obstacles, was willing to do anything. A completely determined woman, completely focused. So focused She was willing to risk her lives to save lives.
Yeah.
That's pretty focused. She's tremendous. She's fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't know. All I can say is she's incredible. That's the energy I'm getting.
And it's someone to live that life, so you'd have to be so tough to be able to see the horrors of war and jump in and do your part and then take part in helping people to escape. And it's all clearly she was such a strong woman, but her energy, if I can just let people know, at least from what I'm feeling, it's so light. And I think what it is that idea of not, and saying it as well, to not hold on to hate. Mm-hmm. She didn't hate anyone. She really, she walked the talk, she really did. She didn't hold hate in her heart. And I think that's one reason her energy is so light, because you think with such a tragic and heavy ending, sometimes they can come in with that heaviness that you feel kind of like very sad, very tragic. She does not have that. She's light, a beautiful energy, beautiful energy.
Very spiritually connected. Especially when you were saying about at the end where she wasn't afraid to die because she had seen so many people cross over. I think she must have sensed that there is something next. Mm-hmm. And there's something more. So very spiritual. She was definitely tuned in, and knew there was a bigger picture. That's why I don't think she's not full of anger, as you said. She's not. Mm-mm. And she would do it again, 100%. Yep. She would save those lives again. That was her purpose.
I think that one of the things anyway that ties these three women together is that sense of purpose from the beginning, kind of coming in with a mission, and coming in knowing that they're here for a certain amount of time and they need to kind of make the most of that time. I think all three of them had a lot of purpose and found their purpose. And I think for us, it's, a lot of people, in readings, what is my purpose? Why am I here? The best way to find that is what interests you. What do you love? What brings you joy? What piques your curiosity? If you follow those threads, you find it, because we're all here we all came here. We're all here. So we're here for something. Right. We definitely had a plan in place and an idea of what we wanted to get accomplished. So if you feel like you've lost that, somehow find it, get curious again and find it. And and do what you're here to do. These are three great examples of ladies that were so determined and to make the most of their time.
And for Edith, it, her moral compass wouldn't allow her to get off her path. You have Bette Midler, who had this incredible strength and understand of injustice that she didn't, that kept her on her path and still on her path, and Antonia the same. And so you have these
kind of outliers. They weren't mainstream women.
Right.
They aren't mainstream women. And they just, foot forward, didn't stop, did what they came to do, despite all the adversity.
Right. And she just said didn't apologize.
And
that is that interesting, because she, when, with what she was charged with, and then we had the first woman that, was charged with they didn't, and even with Bette Midler being kind of just being who she was, it didn't matter that she didn't fit in. She just was who she was, just be who she was, and not apologize. We
I
we
don't
do a
feel
lot
like Edith's come back.
No,
I
I
don't
don't think so either.
Nope. I got to
She's
know.
working on the other side.
Yeah.
She might even be over in the Ukraine, kind of watching that.
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. But I don't, same here.
I don't.
gotta
She's
know.
not back. Whew. I
Wow.
can't believe they murdered her like that.
Yeah.
And who could have pulled the trigger? What kind of person pulls the trigger?
Firing squad. Yeah.
How can they?
Yeah, when we were watching the news today and they were talking about all the weapons of war, and
And why were you watching?
What's that?
Why were you watching that?
The news comes on and you watch it and then you turn it off. but they were just talking about all these different, this is this type of weapon and this is this type of, and I just thought, I cannot believe in this day and age we are still doing this. It doesn't work. Like Whoopi Goldberg says, war doesn't work. We tried it. It doesn't work. And it's so true. It's this, we've all talked about this very old energy that's just hanging on. It's been with us so long that it's just, but it will come to an end. I hope I'm here to see it come to an end. Because it's ugly, it's, and I can't, somebody like Edith, who clearly was, could also have been an empath, but clearly a very feeling, loving human being, having to have that around her all the time, being in the middle of kind of the war. I can't imagine how difficult it would have been, Strong. It's a kind of strength that just, you marvel at.
Love it.
Incredible woman. Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah.
Thank you, Debbie.
Well, thank you, Edith, for coming in for us. Just powerful. And it's interesting because I'm like, is there one last message, Edith, that you want to leave with the family here tonight? And it's like, it's that we are one thing, and love, love, not bitterness, that whole loving, how she saw humans, no matter if they were the evil ones shooting her or the ones she was saving. Love, not bitterness. So, wow. I mean, that's
she would have saved.
That's hard to do.
Any of those guys that shot her, she would have saved them in the war.
Absolutely.
She would have helped them escape. Oh, that's some karma they're going to have to deal with.
Yeah. So that's a hard homework assignment from Edith for us to love those who do such harm. But we'll give it a try.
Yeah.
We'll try, Edith. Oh, gosh. Anyway, so wow, another Monday night. And I am not surprised about how incredible all these women's live stories were.
Yeah.
And
okay.
are.
Are and were, yes.
Yeah. So hopefully we can take some of what they have paved out for us and move it forward, just even if it's an inch. Let's do it.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for hanging out with us. Reading all the comments. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, super great. And thank you, Andrea and Kim.
Thank you
so much. And I feel next week we're on your channel, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
So next week we'll be on Kim's channel with 3 new wonderful people to meet.
Yeah.
Get to know. And Andrea, are you doing a singing bowl down there?
Oh, I just got my pendulum.
I'm hearing things now, guys.
Oh, you hear a singing bowl? No, I don't hear one.
Oh, thank you, Connie. I dumped a whole bunch of pictures on my Facebook. I never put pictures on the Facebook. Rare. And I just did a big dump with my grandbabies at the beach.
Oh, how fun.
Thank you. All right. Love you guys. And we will see you all next Monday. Until then, something courageous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Safe and courageous. How's that?
Yes.
Bye.